Okay, so this week our first topic that we're discussing is going to be gun control. And basically a lot of it stems from what's going on in the Democratic Party in the process. We have Hillary who's kind of preaching that angle in her campaign right now. And you're always going to get the Republican side freaking out about what actually gun control entails. There's the Republican view where they're trying to track our weapons and more so prevent us from having them either now or at some point the government is going to step in and seize all of our weapons and take that away from us. That is a very popular and very ridiculous belief that they have, but it exists. And that's what their perception of gun control is, whereas Hillary's argument is that we have an error in the way that we conduct the process on deciding who can actually have weapons. And what that means is when you go to get a gun, you have to do a background check. But in the current system now, you can go and after 3 days purchase the weapon and be out the door even if the background check doesn't clear. So things like that play a bit of a problem in the reason why we have it in the first place. So that is one of her angles in trying to tighten down the laws that we have in place to make sure that it's a little more secure. What are your thoughts on this, Jaysin? Did you want to start with, okay? All right, sure.
No problem.
Aaron,
when it comes to me, I think most people who have guns or want to own guns are going to buy them regardless to what the process is. I don't think you have to make the process ridiculous, but I think there should be one. You have to be able to be verified. Your gun has to be able to be tracked. It has to be tied to you, your name, your location. It has to be registered by you. And you have to have taken the proper classes to make sure these guns are put away in your home and taken care of to make sure no one else can get their hands on it. It's just too many stories nowadays of, well, these are always been stories that have gone along, and I'm sure the percentage isn't too high, but it's something that should never happen, is a child getting their hands on a gun and using it on themselves or using it on another person by accident. Even recently, a boy went and grabbed a gun and shot a girl in the chest with a shotgun on purpose because of like an argument over a dog. It's like
she would let him play with her pet, the dog.
Yeah. Puppies. Yeah, it was about puppies. Like they had some new puppies, and she wouldn't let him play with them, so he went inside, got the shotgun, and shot the girl. There should be no way he should have access to it. And even if he had access to it, there should be no way. There shouldn't be a guard on that gun to where it cannot fire unless someone puts in the proper key or anything like that.
So the argument would be for the Republican side, or a number of responsible gun owners, quote unquote, depending on what you define as responsible. The people who go and purchase the weapon, their argument would be, it's not the government's business what I have, or I don't want them to know what I have, and sticking their nose into my privacy, or basically keeping tabs on how I live my life, because that's a big thing with their security, is not feeling like Big Brother's spying on them on every single aspect. So it's kind of like the slippery slope mentality that they might have, where it's like, well, if it starts with guns, then where does it go? Like, you're already monitoring me through my cell phone, and you're, using apps to like spy on my life, and the Xbox can use its thermal radar technology to watch and hear everything I do, and it's going to the NSA. There's a lot of that. So gun control is one more step in that direction in their mind. Where do you see that as far as should the government be allowed to know as it pertains to them? Because they feel like the government shouldn't be getting involved with their rights to own weapons.
And that's where people, again, they let the media guide them in where they should and should not be upset. You shouldn't be upset if the government knows you have a gun. You have a weapon that can kill people. Like, that's kind of something that should be known by multiple people. Are you a violent offender? That's something that should be known if you want to have a gun. So it's things like that, okay, those are just kind of givens. If you're going to give somebody the ability to take someone else's life in an instant by giving them a weapon of that such, they should be able to be tracked. Where we should be getting upset and where people should have those kind of fears is the fact that the app on your phone can look through all of your messages. The app on your phone can look through all of your pictures, can look through your GPS at its own will. If someone wanted to, they could, and you agree to it every single time you hit that tab. So the fact that we do have large swaths of data storage in this country, the fact that they are just harvesting mass amounts of data from cell phones to your emails and just holding on to it. What do you need that for? That's what you should be worried about. Now, registering a gun, my gun's not going to come with a camera on it that watches me every moment of the day. Like, you buy the gun, it has a serial code on it, which is some numbers that they didn't put in underneath your name with your license and all those other things so that they can make sure that gun's attached to you. So that if anything happens, say that someone did break into your house and steal your gun, it'd be better to have a system to say, hey, this gun was stolen, I no longer have it. If something happens, you're no longer liable, as opposed to, hey, there was your name written down next to this gun serial code over here, now you're liable for it. You know, there's really no tracking. We need to just track it in general better, whether it's to acquit somebody or whether it's to stop false accusation of someone's gun being used and they're like, oh, well, that gun was stolen 3 months ago. Well, you never reported it.
Even if the fear is that the government knows where that gun went, and so because of that, they're keeping tabs on what you have and can step in if they feel like you have too much of something, or if because some people argue that limits their rights. Like if I want to own a militia thing, well, I mean, but that there are laws right now that you can only own a certain amount of ammo, a certain weight, and a certain number of ammunition per household. So people are obviously going to want to have more if they're anticipating the end of the world. Mm-hmm. So if I mean, is it realistic? Depends on who you are. But so with the government keeping track on that, one fear is that they have a say in how much you're allowed to have, or they can come by and, again, this is a more paranoid belief, but one that very much exists, is them coming and claiming your weapons because they know how much you have, they know what you bought, and they want to come seize it from you for some reason at some point if they decide to go anti-America and take the country away from itself. Yeah. So, I mean,
well, that's what.
Do you think that's a plausible? Do you think it's a plausible scenario?
I don't think that's a plausible scenario. I think that's what the amendment was made for, is to make sure. Back in the day, they thought we were going to stay this small all the time. So you need to be able to have people who have their own guns. So if you did need to rise up against the government, that can happen. The government has planes and jets and tanks and. If they wanted to come and take all your stuff, no amount of guns that you have stored up is going to save you. That's just a fact. But are they going to actually do that? No. So knowing what guns you have is just for your safety and for the safety of people around you, for the safety of your children, for the safety of your children's children, so that a kid who knows you have a lot of guns can't come into your home, steal one of your pistols and kill somebody, and they're wondering where he got the gun from. And you're not going to say anything because, I don't want to be tagged. Well, no, you should have been responsible. You bought the gun. You gave him access to it. You should have known where it was at all times. And if you aren't going to take that kind of responsibility, don't buy a gun. It's the same thing with having an animal or having a child. If you don't want the responsibility, don't have it. But if you're going to have the responsibility, take everything that comes with it. And having the ability to take someone's life away with a gun, that's a huge responsibility.
And I don't think anyone would disagree with the fact that it's a huge responsibility. But a lot of that will go back to a person's right to do it in the first place. So your need to be responsible is kind of like a hindsight, like an objective one, whereas someone who buys a weapon, if they buy a pet and they leave it at home because they just want to have a pet waiting for them, they aren't really aware of how to properly take care of that animal, don't have the means to do so. They still have the ability to buy the pet. So then you have someone, it comes back to, should I be allowed to should they be able to tell me what I can and can't do based on what they believe or what other people believe? Because a lot of people don't have that responsibility. They don't have that understanding of that kind of stuff. I want to have a pistol so I feel okay, but they leave it in their drawer next to their bed where the kid can have easy access to it. So I think that's a big problem with a lot of people's not understanding what it entails fully for that. And with that in mind, Jaysin, first of all, where are you at on the whole gun control issue? Do you think there should be more regulation? Should there be less? Should they be able to track it more? Why?
Yeah, because first off, there definitely needs to be a ban on assault rifles. There's no
automatic or just assault rifles, period?
Assault rifles. There's no need to have an assault rifle. I mean, you can have a pistol.
They're fun to shoot.
They are fun to shoot.
Which is a big thing for a lot of people.
They are fun to shoot. I'll give you that. But if you want to use one, I feel like you should only ever use one in a range, and that's it. You don't really need one in your everyday life because
Well, you can't walk around with one. You know,
Well,
you can't get a permit to walk around with an
just
assault
saying.
rifle. But like,
Yes, you can. Well, in
Can
some
you?
states, though, they have plenty of videos up.
Actually-
In Texas, where you have the right to carry a gun, you can carry them out in the open.
well,
and
that's
there's people
that's
who
Texas.
walk around
I mean,
with
that's
assault
the way.
rifles.
Yeah, I mean
But still,
Texas is casual about their gun control there because
but
they
you
are in control.
again, if you don't enforce the regulations, all these people who are worried about having their guns taken away, we're going in the opposite direction, where we're going too loose with guns, too lax with them. And okay, yes, if a criminal wants to get a gun, which I'm sure we're going to come to this argument soon, they're going to get their hands on a gun. There's no rules or laws that are going to prevent that. But do we have to continue to feed the machine with our guns that we lose and buy and sell in a rampant manner? I shouldn't be able to go to a gun show and buy a gun that very same day. Like, that makes no sense.
All right.
Like,
Okay. So.
but well, I'm sorry, Jason, you're about to.
Yeah, do you think that like assault rifles should play any part other than the range? Like if it's for home defense, for example, do you think that should be applicable to that if someone's breaking into the home, or it shouldn't have it at all unless it's just to go target shooting?
Go to the range.
Just to the
range.
range. Okay.
Has the assault rifles.
Right.
You can use their assault rifle that they have there, and then you shoot your targets, whatever.
Okay.
And that's it. You go home. You don't have assault rifle. If someone's coming in your house, a pistol or a shotgun is gonna do just fine.
All right.
You don't need to let out 30 bullets in someone just to get them off your property.
What if someone has taken the precautions to secure the weapon so that it's not easily accessible by children, or like if they haven't
Then
set
how is it for home defense? If it's locked up in a safe somewhere, it's not for home defense, because if someone's breaking in, you gotta go and enter a code or turn a little dial to get into it.
Sure.
By that time, that person could be right behind you and blow your head off.
Well, but you're assuming that in that situation that they're booking through the house.
Not necessarily.
You don't know. So like, for example, if someone has a safe in a storage room in their home, or if they have it, in a corner of their house, and they hear someone and they go in to that room, the person doesn't know this isn't a bank heist. I mean, they don't know the blueprint of your home unless you're in a high-profile place and they're trying to steal your daughter and hold a ransom for you. So if they break in, they're probably looking to steal something first. So someone could argue that going over and pushing 4 buttons and opening the door and pulling the gun out, you have just as ample amount of time to do that as you do to, maybe just pull the gun out from under your bed and sit there and wait behind it while, they maybe move through the house looking to kill you if that's their intent. You could have arguably enough time to get into that room.
You could.
So I mean, but to not dismiss that possibility, because that is true. They could, just come that way and go and get you. If you have the ample time to go and get to the safe and have your weapon ready, you could defend yourself with that weapon. Now you're saying that it should only be used for target range shooting. That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not,
But you're just saying only assault rifles should be for target range. But you're
My
you're
question
saying that
is-
pistols and shotguns are fine to have in the home. Just the only thing.
Yeah, not like have 30 of them in your home. There's no need for that. You don't need to stockpile.
Do you believe that if my main question is, regardless of the potential for you to get to it in time or not, if it's properly stored away, where you're the one with the code and you have 3 kids and they, can't get in the safe because it's locked unless they have the code for it, do you think that it's okay for someone to own it then? Or is it still unnecessary?
I still think it's unnecessary.
Okay.
Absolutely. Because, well, first off, kids are smart.
So there's no reason to have assault rifles.
Well, not
No
hackers.
reason.
I mean,
But no, I mean, you watch your parents sneak around enough, you watch your parents enter a code enough, you can figure out a code. I know pretty much most of my dad's codes. They usually, I'm not gonna say what they are, but they're usually pretty simple.
that's because you're a hacker. That's the...
I'm not a hacker. I just pay attention.
Watching guys, watching.
This is the tech guy from this organization here. This guy.
I'm just saying, I like to shoot guns. I do. I like shooting assault rifles. I like shooting pistols. I like shooting shotguns. They're fun. They are. But we can't keep ignoring what's going on in our country. And you look at the bulk of these shootings, they usually have something to do with assault rifles. And if that's the case, let's do something about it.